Then al-Raghib al-Isfahani, he talks about the negative consequences of poor character. And we're used to thinking about this in terms of our individual lives, right? Unfortunately, we probably often think of it in a transactional way, right? If I don't have good character, then people aren't going to like me, or they're not going to give me the things that I want, or treat me with the respect that I feel like I deserve, or things like that. And those of us that have maybe a little bit more developed than that, then it's not that crass, but it's still that individual level of what are the possible negative consequences on my individual life. But the author, al-Raghib al-Isfahani, reminds us that there's actually a collective consequence as well to not developing good character. And this is part of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has dealt with communities and nations that have gone before us. So al-Raghib al-Isfahani, he says that, if a community had a mixture of good and bad, then he would send prophets. Obviously, the time of getting prophets is over. Last prophet is Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But he said, if you look at the Quraysh, they weren't all bad. And this is not a controversial statement to make. Yeah, they got the biggest thing wrong that you could possibly get wrong, which is shirk. But, they had honor. They believed in honor. They believed in generosity. Their generosity was legendary. They took care of the guests that came to the Kaaba, that visited on pilgrimage to Mecca. And they believed in joining family ties and this sort of thing. I mean, they had their fair share of evil, right? But they also had their fair share of good. And so al-Raghib al-Isfahani, he says, in this sort of situation, Allah Azza wa Jalla will send a prophet to basically demonstrate what's in people's hearts. Those who are sincere and who want to follow the truth, they will be convinced by the prophet. They will allow themselves to believe. Belief is here more of a virtue than it is a tool for knowing, or a tool for knowledge. But if your heart is rotten, if you're not looking to be corrected, if you're not looking to develop yourself or progress at all, then you're going to reject it. So there's this kind of group of people or nation where there's a mix of good and bad. And then he says that if a nation is mostly bad and has only a little bit of good in it, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will cause oppression to overtake it. And he brings the example of the people of Musa, Bani Israel, right? And there were a couple different times. There's the Nebuchadnezzar, the whole Babylonian captivity, right? And then there's the captivity in Egypt, which Musa alayhi salam brought them out of. But al-Raghib al-Isfahani's argument is that if there's only a little bit that's worth saving, then, or if there's only a little bit of good, then this is sort of how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala meets or treats that reality. And then the final scenario, and that's the really scary one, if everybody in the nation or the community abandons good character, and obviously we're talking about good character in the greatest, most broad possible sense, which begins with good character towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If there's no one doing that work, if there's nothing good going on, then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will destroy them and wipe them off the face of the earth, as he did with the people of Nuh, the people of Ad and Thamud and Lut, right? And how he gave them their tests, and if there were any of them left that were just a few people that were doing the right stuff, he would actually separate them and remove them from that society before punishing them like that. So al-Raghib al-Isfahani's main point is that there's real consequence to this stuff. It's not just about, oh, do I have time to fit it into my schedule, after my Netflix, whatever else I'm doing, can I fit in some time to develop myself and develop my character? This is real, not just for your individual salvation, which of course is our main concern, but also our collective survival. A very, very important thing.